Hey everybody, it's Pete. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that you're choosing to be here with me today. It is Wednesday night. We're going to be creating a game plan for Thursday, June 17th, 2021. Wacky day in the market today, but honestly, really exactly what we expected. We actually had a really long game plan meeting this morning where we spent a lot of time talking about the market, talking about the tape, and specifically talking about the apathy at new all-time highs and how it really felt like the market was heavy despite the fact that we haven't really punched through to just that level where we open higher, push higher, and stay there pretty much every day for the last week and a half. You know this, especially if you're an active trader. We've been opening higher, punching it to new all-time highs, falling down for the last 2 hours of the day, going sideways for the middle part of the day, and then finding buying at the end of the day. It's definitely brought out a couple of more gray hairs if you fight it. That's the big thing we're going to talk about right now. We're going to talk about the difference between actively managing your trades and the ideas, whether they're your ideas, my ideas, anybody's ideas, and how to manage those ideas, because we're definitely in what we might call stop and go traffic right now. It's not last year. We're not in this stimulus fueled bottom off of the lows of last March where it's just going up pretty much every day. And that means you have to act like a real trader, which means you need to adjust your expectations for follow through. And I have one really good trade that we took last week, two that we took last week to illustrate this absolutely perfectly. So stick around. We'll be right back. And we'll jump obviously into the FOMC announcement today and what that means for tomorrow and going forward. Okay, so first we're actually going to talk about, we're going to head on over to the screen and we're going to hop into Jerome Powell and what was actually said today and how it unfolded in the market. And this is really what it came down to. See 2 rate hikes by the end of 2023. Now, that might seem like a million years from now, that it's the middle of 2021, but the market is a discounting mechanism. We're talking about going forward, and you are paying today for what you're going to get tomorrow. That's a big deal. That's why the market got spooked today. And if you didn't happen to be involved in the market intraday today, well, we had what was essentially a normal price action, which is there's usually 2 moves, one big move, one move in the opposite direction. And then the next day, the sustained move is typically what happens, which, by the way, just getting this over into speaking about game plans and trading plans and how to attack your trading plan every day. Throughout the years, you develop what works and what really is your wheelhouse and how you like to trade in certain types of conditions. For example, you might have heard this about hedge funds. Some are long hedge funds, short hedge funds. They trade both. Most really big active traders, most big veteran traders that I've been around, including myself, most trade long. Most are only looking for spots to buy. Very rarely sell short. If you obviously look at the big line, it's going up for years. It's just an easier side of the market to wrap your head around. I'm not saying easier to trade, easier to wrap your head around because the line is continually going higher over the years. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to trade with a stop loss, which kind of brings us into what I want to talk about and different trading ideas today, is that I got a question today about why aren't we in the community calling out more short sale opportunities? And it really comes down to this. What is the best idea right now? Why in the world, with the market sitting at new, fresh, all-time highs, would we be looking for shorts when the easier trades or the trades where the smart money or the deep pockets, the people pushing stocks higher are buying, where you can easily identify from one day to the next, 1 week to the next, 1 month to the next, where they're holding higher lows and creating higher highs? It just makes sense to find a spot to piggyback on that. There might be, maybe the market might have turned a little bit today. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a downtrend. I don't know, but it's been easier to just see where they're already buying and just a question of whether or not those stocks had room to go. So I just wanted to answer that. We get a lot of good questions in the comments as well as in emails once in a while about stuff that's kind of advanced or trade management or trade thought process kind of stuff, and I love to answer them. So if you have a question about anything that we're talking about, definitely click down and leave a comment below. Obviously, what we do every day is active trading. We're looking at day trading or holding stuff from anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks. We're not investing, obviously, Stock Trading Pro. We do talk about longer term stuff as far as the fundamentals when earnings come out, but the trading ideas are all actively managed. which actually brings me to the next thing. One of the things that is critical to understand, and this is really a big part of our community, even if you're not in our private community, there's a lot of people that are swing trading, holding stocks in that window, like I said, 3 days, 3 weeks to a month, and then you're looking for another opportunity. Are you trading for weekly cash flow because you need the money? Or are you trading for monthly cash flow where you have another full-time job and you can just let the trade play itself out? And the reason I'm bringing that up, and the stock idea that we're going to take a look at in a second, is two of them, actually. Profitable trades immediately that eventually pulled back. And depending on the paradigm from which you're trading from, cash flow on the week versus cash flow for the month, that's going to dictate which profit strategy you're going to use. That's going to dictate how you're going to be managing that position. And you need to know that prior to the trade. So it's not buying and holding. What we're doing is we're looking for the next wave and looking to put the money to work, But if you need the money now because this is your full-time job, you're going to be a little bit more likely to be using cash flow techniques where you're going to be maybe looking at the hourly chart over the last 10 days or just the last 10 candlesticks, versus you can let the stock breathe a little bit more, maybe give back some paper profits in exchange for the next bigger move, which is a massive, massive part of understanding trading, knowing what your objectives are, because that's going to dictate your stop loss, that's going to dictate your position sizing, that's going to dictate how you build a position, if you build a position at all, and all of that factors into whether or not you're going to have conviction in your ideas. So I just want to be super clear about that and hopefully help you, because there's a lot of people that are going crazy right now, seeing some ideas burst out in their favor and then kind of melting back down. That's more a function of the market that we're in right now. That's not necessarily a bad idea. It's just the tape that we're in right now. So I'm going to show you two examples, two of them from last week, actually. JKS is the first one that we're going to start out with. And we had a lot of new members come into the community. We broke this longer-term downtrend. We were looking for some volume. We saw some volume spiking, and we got involved over here. And the trade basically moved $8 in our favor within a day and a half, 2 days. Now, if you're trading for cash flow, you're like, wow, this is great. You have 1,000 shares, and you're up anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 if you had 1,000 shares. But you can see the stock melted right back down. And at this point, this is where it's easy to say, well, the trade didn't work, but that's not true. The trade didn't work in what time frame? The trade didn't work for what objective? The trade is actually still valid. It's not even an unprofitable trade yet. It basically pulled back to the entry price, but that doesn't invalidate the idea. What it does tell us, though, is money's flowing into that sector. So the solar stocks are starting to see buying. So whether it's a cash flow trade for the week on that position or shifting into that and looking for a little bit longer term ideas, that is where you are now going to know your objective going into the trade. I can't stress the importance of this, because if you're not sure what a profitable trade looks like based on what you're trying to accomplish in the market, how you're trying to make the stock market make you money, it's going to be confusing, because every movement up or down is going to have you doubting what you're looking at. The more clear you are on what a profitable trade looks like before you put the trade on, and a losing trade, the easier it's going to be to trade. So we're going to zoom over to another one, and no pun intended there. Obviously, Zoom was the pick that we had last week. And we had the breakout above 340, 345, and it immediately, within 2 days, ran up to 370. We had an initial target of 380 with an ultimate profit target of 400. Now, depending on the time frame that your objective is in, this was an immediately profitable $30 trade, maybe $25 trade. Or if you are looking for the longer term move, the stock is perfectly pausing, still sitting well above our entry price and looking really good for the next move. So your objectives are everything how you're looking at stocks, whether it's a day trade for the next 20 minutes, whether it's a swing trade for the next 2 days, or whether it's a swing trade for the next 3 weeks. The more clear you are on the time frame that you're holding the trade, the easier it's going to be how you're going to manage it, because you'll immediately know what you should do, because you should have scripted that before you put the trade on. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit now. If you're having a hard time with this, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know what your struggle is with profit targets, managing risk, managing the downside, position sizing, and we'll follow up with another video. We get back to everybody as soon as we can. All right. By the way, if you're new to the channel, definitely click down and give us a thumbs up if you like this kind of videos. And if you'd like to get updates, hit the subscribe button and hit the alert. You'll know when the next videos come out. So we're going to shift right over now to what we normally do, is go into sector rotation and how that sector rotation is going to work its way over into trading ideas. So it's kind of interesting here, and we mentioned this yesterday, and we mentioned it again now. You can see clearly here, this is the road that we have. We can't bang our heads against the wall looking for bigger, stronger moves if we're not seeing it across the board. Most of the sectors that we're looking at heading into Thursday are showing mediocrity at best. And even the energy and tech sectors that we're going to take a look at right now are not exactly flying with stocks breaking out. CPE right now is one of the stronger ideas, but even that has been stuck in a $4 trading range between 48 and 22. So we're really waiting for it to get out of this window. If we look at some of the other larger stuff inside of oil and gas and energy, we're right in the middle of nowhere. So even the sector rotation bigger picture is not really telling the true story. If we work our way over to energy and off of energy and directly into solar, we just talked about JKS, which again, depending on your time frame, it could have been a massively profitable 2-day trade, or it could still be a valid longer term trade. And the reason I say still valid is because ENPH, waking up, money staying in the sector, and run, money staying in the sector. So we're starting to see larger volume. The tape is changing. The sector itself, the industry group, is breaking these longer term downtrends. So does that mean immediately you're going to get in there and start just buying them with 2 fists? No. It's the first time after order flow is pushing to the downside. We're going sideways. We're churning on heavier volume, which is the definition of accumulation. We're starting to see individual days where it's waking up. And now we start to build the position. That's real trading. That's actually getting involved and having a plan on those different time frames. So JKS ran its course, but more money's coming in behind it. Well, most likely ENPH and the other solar stocks, including Run, finding buyers are probably going to lift JKS, but the other two are breaking out right now. So we're going to lean on those a little bit more now. So we're going to actually talk about a couple of other ideas that met the criteria today, specifically IBM, which is now great since earnings. It rallied here off of earnings, and now you can see it actually pulled back, found longer term support, 2 well offered days in a row, closed on the lows today. We're looking for IBM to find support. Then we're going to call out a new entry for our community, and CRWD breaking out, finally getting above 225, minor resistance at 250, and then we're going to look for another move through that level from there. The only other one that I want to talk about today, XPEV, which traded into what we call a bullish U-turn today. The stock's just been absolutely on fire, working a smaller position, ultimately looking for 50 as the first target. But again, the stock probably has to pause a little bit. So we're going to have a smaller piece, expecting the stock to fluctuate in this window right now between 39 and 42. If and when it takes off again, then we will start to build that position again, ultimately 50 being the first initial profit target. So if you take anything out of today's video, we have energy and a few technology stocks, solar stocks, definitely, as well as a couple of breakouts that we just showed you. But I can't stress this strongly enough. In order to be a successful active trader, to feel like you're in control, to feel like you're the reason that you're making money, you really need to know your objective, because you can't just allocate and hope. If you allocate saying that's what a profitable trade looks like for me, then you know how to manage the position. So it can look a little bit from the outside like it can be a little chaotic or random, but if you know what you're looking for, it's easier to find. If you can't find it, it's not there. All right. So if you have any questions about this, definitely leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Have an awesome day. This is a game plan for Thursday, June 17th, 2021. Have a nice night, everybody. I appreciate you joining me.